All right, today I'm going to present to you the some of my extensive book collection, and this time will be on continue, I guess, from what I did yesterday on paperback heroines and so on. I thought I'd get to present something um, along those lines. And today I'm going to delve into my fantasy and sword and sorcery collection that I talked a little bit about yesterday. First, I'll start with the first book in this series. Um, and this is Jirel of Joiry, if I say it in French. She is uh, the heroine of uh, all of these short stories that you'll see here, all published in back in the 1930s in Weird Tales. And C.L. Moore, um, she was the creator of this character. The inspiration for Jirel was Conan. Uh, and C.L. Moore, like Robert E. Howard, August Derleth, H.P. Lovecraft, and so on, all published their stories in Weird Tales and other magazines like Magic Carpet. I also want to show you this book, and this is Swordswoman, and this is actually an anthology book of stories by Robert E. Howard. And many of these stories, or all of the stories, from what I can tell, were never published in Howard's lifetime. So if you can see there, their copyright dates indicate that they were never published in Howard's lifetime. But they were discovered by Glenn Lord, who was in charge of his yeah, he was in charge of his unpublished materials and all of the Conan lore. So this is Swordswoman, an anthology book on of uh, Robert E. Howard short stories. And the next book I want to present is Red Sonja, who we all know from the Marvel comic books, who was a kind of a spin-off series from the Conan comic books. Now, the character, according to the introduction to this volume by Roy Thomas, was based on an obscure character named Sonja of Rogatine that's mentioned in one of um, Robert E. Howard's stories. I think it was called Black Volmir's Vengeance. And Thomas decided, okay, so I'll change the Y, Sonia, into a J, and it became and created. Really, it was really his creation, Roy Thomas's creation, based on the Robert E. Howard story, um, and he put forth this character. Now, this edition is an original paperback edition written by David C. Smith, Richard L. Tierney, and featuring beautiful cover art by Boris Vallejo. We'll just look inside. Again, Glenn Lord is the one who's in charge of Howard's estate. And so he is given the copyright byline. And as you can see, this is a first paperback edition. Beautiful, crisp copy. And the next one in the series is Demon Knight. So this is volume 2, again, Vallejo cover. They're all great sword and sorcery, fast-paced reads, actually. From beginning to end, it's one story in each volume. Uh, Here is volume 3, number 3, When Hell Laughs, Red Sonja Adventure. Nice back cover, original paperback. Beautiful copy. Here's another very fine copy of Endithor's Daughter, volume 4, with a beautiful painted cover by Boris Vallejo of Red Sonja in a very pensive mood. Now, these stories are, even though you see her in her skimpy bathing suit, um, bikini, they're actually aimed not just for an adult audience. So there's no gratuitous, there's lots of swordplay and traditional violence you find in sword and sorcery fiction. But there's none of this, the adult scenes that you see, in, for instance, in the Raven series that I showed yesterday. So this is Against the Prince of Hell, Volume 5. Again, Boris Vallejo cover. And this is the 6th volume in the series, Star of Doom. And as you can see, cover art by Boris Vallejo. Star of Doom. All right, so the next book series I want to show is, this is The Gate of Ivriel. And this is actually a first edition paperback of C.J. Cherryh's very first novel. And it features a character named Morgaine. This has the tropes of fantasy and of science fiction. Morgaine, along with that companion you see on the cover, Vanyee, and that's her sword, which has a name. Typical trope in fantasy and especially sword and sorcery fiction. The name of the sword is Changeling. And I read the complete series, all 4 volumes. This one is a kind of mix of science fiction and fantasy. And Morgaine is a kind of alien. And her task, without getting into too much detail about the gates and the Khal race and so on, it's all about trying to close these gates that have disrupted time and space. So if you have a basic understanding of physics, um, before the universe came into being, there was no time and space. And so what these gates do is are kind of portals to different worlds. And eventually these portals started to become too dangerous, just virtually worlds disappearing and so on and so forth. And Morgaine, along with an elite group of people, were tasked to destroy these gates. And all of these adventures feature that kind of um, trope of trying to destroy the gates and disrupt the to stop the disruption of space and time. So this is the first paperback original, first novel of C.J. Cherryh, and this is Gate of Ivro, and it's DAW book number 188. And we look inside, and you can see a typical trope of fantasy fiction, the Gate of Ivro. So that's that one. This is another paperback original, The Well of Shion. And there you see Changeling, and this is a cover by the covers. All of the covers for the series was by Michael Whalen. And one of the good things about DAW books is that they actually, there's your map. There you go, cover art by Michael Whalen. He was one of the better of the cover arts. As you know, you've seen from a previous video, he did all the cover art for the Michael Moorcock Elric series. Beautiful use of purples and blues and black. Nice background. So that's Well of Shion. And this is the third book in the series, Fires of Azeroth. And there you have Vanyi and Morgaine, beautifully painted in by Michael Whalen, framed in the picture, so to speak. DAW book number 341 with a new map. So what they do is they go from world to world and experience new kinds of adventures. And this is the final book in C.J. Cherryh's series. And this is kind of not quite his style, but this is actually a Michael Whalen cover. You see Vanyi and Morgaine in the cover with her sword, which if you look at the paintings in the other novels, hasn't changed much in appearance. So Michael Whalen did a good job in staying faithful to the consistency of the stories. The stories I read from all 4 volumes, and I'm going to show you a kind of, well, it is rare because it is a book club edition, and this is the Book of Morgaine. And if you look at her face, and if you've seen pictures of C.J. Cherryh, you'll know that this actually looks like her. So this collects the first 3 volumes in the series by C.J. Cherryh. Nice hardcover. Book club edition, which I do not believe exists in any other form. There is, I have seen a paperback form, but I've never seen a hardcover form of this. So this is one of a kind. The Book of Morgaine. So if you're going to read the series and you don't want to wreck your paperbacks, this is the one to get, and it's fairly inexpensive despite its rarity. And this one has never been released in hardcover, but here it is. This is the in a hardcover first edition, but this is actually the book club edition, and you can consider this to be the first edition. This is Exile's Gate, and that's one of the scenes. Actually, the opening scene in the novel by C.J. Cherryh. Not quite as good and beautiful a cover as this one, where you see her going through one of these gates, one of these portals that goes between worlds. So this is the book club edition of Exile's Gate, and probably the only hardcover edition of the last volume. And now I'm going to show you another kind of, well, it's been reissued various times. This is a paperback original. This is by Sharon Green. This is Jalav, Amazon Warrior. And the cover artist is Ken W. Kelly. And these are beautiful paperback editions, first editions of the Jalav, the Amazon Warrior. So this is the first book in the series. This is the second, An Oath to Maida. So these stories take place in a post-apocalyptic world. It's not clear from the novels if this is the planet Earth or if this is some other planet. But so it gives the writer freedom to explore and create their own universe, which she does to a great extent in each of these novels, which makes it very dense reading. So if you look at the interior of the book, you'll notice that it's very dense for a almost 400 page book. So this is An Oath to Maida. Jalav is a Midana. It's a race of Amazonian women, and they have their own codes and their own culture, which she gets into in detail in the books. So this is number 2. This is volume 3. This one is cover art is by Boris Vallejo. If you look, and you can tell the accentuations is slightly different from this one. It's a little brighter in Vallejo covers. They don't emphasize as much as he does. So it gives you a sense, you get a sense of the content. Very thick volumes. This is DAW book number 577, number 532, and this is number 484. And this is the last book in the series, or sorry, the second to last book in the series. And this is Kelly cover, you can tell. He signs it, yeah, it's signed on the bottom there. And this is The Will of the Gods, Sharon Green, Jalav, Amazon Warrior number 4. And this is the final book in the series, Jalav, Amazon Warrior, To Battle the Gods. And this is copyright 1986. DAW Collector's Book number 671, the first printing. Okay, so this is the last of the Amazons that I wanted to show, women heroines. So if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and feel free to comment. Thanks for watching. Bye.